Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers officer complaints, the confrontation clause, and expectation of privacy, and comes to us from News Now Patrick's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Let's dive right in and audit the audit. In the early morning hours of August 14th, 2019, Auditor Patrick Roth was filming in the lobby of the York Police Department in York, Nebraska, where he was contacted by Sergeant Christensen and Officer Kelly. This version of the video will be heavily edited to save time, but there will be a link to the full-length version in the video description.
Hi there.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good. How's
Can I
it?
help you with something, or are you just getting information, or?
Yeah, I'm actually getting some information here. Is there an officer's complaint form here?
A complaint form?
Yeah, an officer complaint form.
Do we have a actual complaint form?
Not really.
Okay. Are you the supervisor?
Yeah, that'd be me.
Oh, okay. How do I go about doing a complaint on an officer?
Officer's name? I mean, who are we talking about?
Isn't there like a form you fill out or something, or?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to get at is in case it isn't our department, or if it's the sheriff's department or the patrol or whoever.
Well, it's your department. I just was needing a form to fill out and write down.
What's his name?
Well, I don't want to say really, because I don't know if you guys know him or not, or.
Although there is no law that standardizes the policies associated with filing a complaint against an officer or department, the International Association of Chiefs of Police and the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services have produced expert guidelines for the complaint process, which is sponsored and published by the Department of Justice. These guidelines offer local police departments a policy framework designed to maintain public trust and accessibility. The expert guidelines included a report which examined 31 of Nebraska's largest law enforcement agencies' websites for alignment with the guidelines' recommendations. Of the 31 agencies surveyed, very few met the guidelines for having an effective complaint process. In the event of an ineffective complaint process at the local level, the Department of Justice offers civilians an alternative to reporting misconduct locally on the official Department of Justice website. I will link the site in the description below for anyone struggling with their own complaint issues. It is important to note that Mr. Roth's request for an officer complaint form is an element of his First Amendment audit. There was no incident that Mr. Roth wishes to complain about, and his request for a form is intended to gauge and document the complaint process for this particular department.
I want to write down what happened on paper so that I can fill it out and then get a copy of it. Because if I just tell you, I don't know if you're actually going to do anything about it. So
I don't think we have a specific form. You could always write it out, or write out like a statement.
Okay. Usually there's a form and usually there's a process.
Yeah, there is a process.
Yeah, Sergeant. So you're saying there's no form.
I'm like him. I am not certain there is, because we've never been asked that question.
Okay, so you're uncertain, but there might be one.
Yeah. You can come back between 8 o'clock and 5.
And I'd get it and I'd be out of
talk to
here.
the chief.
I'm here now.
They don't have really a form.
There's got to be some kind of paperwork. Somebody writes out a statement, you turn it in,
when
and then
somebody has something like that happens, it's an individual thing. It'd be like us having a form.
But what if
for a
it goes
child
criminal?
abuse.
What if it goes criminal?
Well, you'd have to make a complaint.
That's what the complaint is. I write it out and
And
I
if
turn
we
it.
don't have it, then he or she has a right to face their accuser.
The confrontation clause found in the Sixth Amendment provides that in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to be confronted with the witnesses against him. This clause was intended to prevent the conviction of a defendant upon written evidence without that defendant having an opportunity to face his or her accusers and to put their honesty and truthfulness to the test before a jury. In 1895, the Supreme Court outlined 3 fundamental fundamental purposes that the Confrontation Clause was meant to serve: to ensure that witnesses would testify under oath and understand the serious nature of the trial process, to allow the accused to cross-examine witnesses who testify against him, and to allow jurors to assess the credibility of a witness by observing that witness's behavior. While filing a complaint against an officer anonymously may result in an internal investigation and reprimanding of the officer, it is unlikely that the complaint will result in any criminal action. If an officer is the subject of a criminal complaint, then the officer does retain the right to face their accuser, but only in a trial setting.
Okay. Well,
Just like in anything.
what'd you say your name was, Sergeant?
It says right on my name.
How do you know I can read?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know how you can
Okay.
write.
Can
You
I
can't
here?
write.
What is it? Let me see. Okay.
You must be the gentleman from Utica or Waco?
Waco. I've never. I don't live in Waco.
I know who you are.
All right. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. See you later, Kelly.
Yeah.
Mr. Roth exits the lobby of the police department and proceeds to wait in the parking lot to meet up with his auditing partner. Sergeant Christensen comes out of the department and engages with Mr. Roth again.
As far as the law goes, we have a right to find out who both of you are.
No, you don't.
Even in stop and identify states like Nebraska, reasonable suspicion of a crime is required for an officer to demand identification from a civilian. Nebraska Revised Statute 29-829 states that a peace officer may stop any person in a public place whom he reasonably suspects of committing, who has committed, or who is about to commit a crime. Mr. Roth has not broken any laws, and asking for a complaint form does not constitute reasonable suspicion. Therefore, Mr. Roth is under no obligation to identify himself to Sergeant Christensen.
All right. I'd go to jail for you. You want to go to jail?
No, I'm not going to jail.
You want to take me to jail?
I didn't say that.
Well, are you threatening us right now? I'm telling you right now, you don't want to go this route.
I don't, huh?
Were you trying to bump into me?
No.
I promise you. Try to bump into me again.
Try to bump into you again?
Yeah. Look at this guy.
Okay.
I'm telling you, you touch me, that's battery.
It is.
It is. Don't touch me, sir.
Don't touch me.
I'm asking you, Sergeant, do not touch me.
Okay.
We're live on the internet, sir. You do something stupid, everybody's seeing it.
Good. But if you
And
do
you won't,
something stupid,
and
everybody's
and
seeing
you
it
won't
too.
have a job anymore. So how is that gonna? How are you gonna feel about that? How you gonna feel about that? Are you gonna back this up?
Who's that?
Look at this. You're a fucking idiot, man. What are you doing? Trying to assault me? So here's what he did. Here's what he did. I left the building and he came outside to further antagonize me. You came outside to further intimidate and antagonize. While I was leaving, you came out to further intimidate. So this is York Police Department, guys. This is the sergeant here. So hopefully the chief gets a ton of complaints.
The interaction between Mr. Roth and Sergeant Christensen continues to escalate, and the sergeant begins to act progressively more erratic as Mr. Roth antagonizes him and bruises his ego. Eventually, Mr. Roth and his partner leave the police station and return to their vehicle, only to find that Sergeant Christensen followed them back in an effort to obtain their identity by running their car's tag.
Don't let him close it and then block the tag. Close it and then block the tag. Look what he's doing. Don't let him see that tag.
Okay. Just put my button like that. No,
No, sir, I don't need anything.
I need you to stop harassing me.
Sir, can you please stop stalking and harassing us? No, she doesn't have to. Don't touch her.
Don't put your hands on
Don't
me.
touch her.
Don't
Sergeant,
do it.
don't touch her. She's not on the road. She doesn't have to show it. She's not driving on the road. Okay, this way.
No, I am good.
No, you won't. No, you won't. Sergeant, if you don't stop this intimidation, you're going to be in trouble with your department. Guys, this is York Police. York Police. Look what they're doing. This is York Police.
This is your car.
Has anyone called it in?
Move your hand.
No, sir, stop! Stop it! This is my vehicle. Ow!
Many court cases have held that police officers may randomly run a vehicle's tag because it does not meet the standards of an official search as defined by the Fourth Amendment, and there is no expectation of privacy associated with a publicly displayed license plate. In 2017, the New York Court of Appeals took this a step further and declared that an officer's use of the information within the Department of Motor Vehicles database associated with the license plate also does not violate a citizen's Fourth Amendment rights in the case of the People v. Bushy. Given that Mr. Roth's vehicle's VIN is observable from public, there is no expectation of privacy attached to the number, and Sergeant Christensen may legally run it. However, this does not grant the sergeant the authority to smash Mr. Roth's hand with a flashlight in order to gain access to the VIN. Sergeant Christensen has effectively committed assault by forcing Mr. Roth to move his hand and battery by crushing Mr. Roth's fingers with a flashlight. The sergeant could have simply waited for the couple to get in their vehicle to leave and ran their tag. Instead, he used his authority to physically harm Mr. Roth to get the information he was after.
Ow! This is York Police Department. He just assaulted me. He just hit my hand. This is York Police.
Run a VIN.
Look what he's doing, guys. York Police. York Police.
T-Tom, 354444.
York Police. He just smashed my fingers. I'm gonna sue the shit out of you, dude.
All because we heard his feelings.
He freaking smashed my fingers with his flashlight.
All because we heard his feelings.
Look what he's doing. This is York Police, guys. York Police. This is the Sergeant Christensen.
Right here, unless he wants to try to manhandle me too.
Here, hold this. Ow. Guys, we're here at in York, Nebraska, at the corner at the sheriff's office. He smashed my fingers with his flashlight. Look what he's doing, guys.
Can I help you? No, I'm not.
She's not driving. She doesn't have to.
You're trying
I
to.
don't even know if this is your car.
It is.
Okay, but did someone
It
call
is.
it
It is your
suspicious?
car?
Yeah. See, I have the
It
key
is.
right
It is. We
here.
have the key.
Lock.
Nobody called it in suspicious. Nobody called it in suspicious. You have no
Yeah, you
reason to
did.
be here.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't.
No,
No,
they
you're a
didn't.
butthurt officer, so you want to manhandle us. You're
He just-
butthurt. So you're not gonna do me like you did him. You want to put hands on me? Come try.
He freaking smashed my fingers, dude. Ow. He did it twice too. He did it to both my hands.
The live stream's video fails, but the audio continues to capture the encounter.
Are you?
Good. Step to the side.
No.
Step to the side.
No. No. Unless you're gonna force me.
Step to the side.
No.
Step to the
No,
side.
you can't put your hands on me, dude. This is assault. Yes, I can. If I'm not driving, I
JMP
can.
910. You're on a public street.
You just
can't.
assaulted me.
I do
You
not.
just f***ing assaulted me, dude.
We're not on the road.
You're a piece of shit. You are a real f***ing piece of You are trash. You are a piece of trash.
Idiot, dude.
You are a piece of trash.
According to the audio, Sergeant Christensen pushes Mr. Roth's partner aside and forcibly acquires their license plate information. After running Mr. Roth's plates, Sergeant Christensen leaves the scene without further incident. Mr. Roth and his partner get back into their vehicle and leave the downtown area. Later that day, Mr. Roth uploaded a follow-up video alleging that Sergeant Christensen had fractured his finger with the flashlight. Overall, Sergeant Christensen gets an F for assaulting, intimidating, and instigating Mr. Roth because his fragile ego was shattered. Sergeant Christensen had no reason to continue engaging with Mr. Roth, but his ego wouldn't let him just walk away. Police officers with the rank, authority, and ego of Sergeant Christensen are particularly dangerous to society because they not only commit acts of contempt and misconduct, but they demonstrate tolerance for bad policing to their subordinates and ultimately cultivate deeply rooted deep-rooted systemic corruption within local departments. Officers like Christensen have shredded the fabric of trust between local departments and their communities to a point that has risen to a societal epidemic. Bad policing has become a nationally recognized issue at the hands of maniacal, ego-driven officers who consistently overstep the bounds of their authority. It goes without saying that Sergeant Christensen should be fired immediately and is not fit to serve his community. In this instance, Mr. Roth gets a B. During the making of this video, I personally reached out to Mr. Roth in an attempt to ascertain whether he had pursued legal action against Sergeant Christensen, but after a brief exchange, Mr. Roth did not respond. The News Now Patrick channel has been in operation since 2017, and Mr. Roth has been involved in countless police interactions, but very few, if any, of those interactions have resulted in legal action. So it is safe to assume that Sergeant Christensen will face no serious repercussions as a result of this encounter. Although it is safe to assume that there will be no legal action, I am unable to confirm that, and the potential lack of legal action cannot be reflected in Mr. Roth's final score. However, in the full version of the video, Mr. Roth was antagonistic and provocative. Mr. Roth's auditing style lacks authenticity and conviction, and his disregard for professionalism is detrimental to the constitutional activism community as a whole. I sincerely hope that Mr. Roth decides to pursue legal action against Sergeant Christensen, and that all of Mr. Roth's auditing efforts were not as fruitless as the sergeant's harassment. Let us know if there's an interaction or legal topic you would like us to cover in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more police interaction content.